I am glad you are here. I'm glad you were watching this. And today we are doing a laugh and learn, and it is about being comfortable in the gray area. What's interesting is Hershe, Betsy, and I set this up. We talked about this topic, 6 weeks ago, as something to build upon the idea of baggage or receiving and working with, and it's part of this ongoing conversation. So everybody, please welcome Medium Betsy Palmer. Hi, Betsy.
Aloha.
And Hershe, the Shadow Reader.
Hello.
I am Tarot Stash. Hello. Thank you all for being here. I'm glad to be here. And it already appears that we are joined by our best chatters, our work lurkers, our best lurkers, and our future lurkers. So thank you for being here. I will remind everybody to please give this video a thumbs up. Oh, here. Do we need this? Please remember to give this video a thumbs up.
Love it.
So, and I want credit for not putting a spider on the thumb.
Oh, God.
So,
Man.
and as always, this is for entertainment purposes only. Do not make decisions based upon what we say. Seek professional assistance. Really. And we're really taking an opportunity to talk about our experience with the gray area. And we'll start off by what is our definition of gray here in a minute. But I want to get caught up, and I want to go, Hershe, how are you?
Oh, I am beyond the moon. I am wonderful.
Okay, good. And Betsy, how are you?
Ditto.
Okay. And I am doing okay, sort of. There's a lot of things that are going on, and it's making me spend some time thinking about things a little differently than I have been. And I think I said earlier, I have to be okay with not being okay. So that's an important thing.
How about I would like to be okay with not being okay?
Yes, or I am okay with not being okay. Let's just own it. Let's just do that. So yes, and thank you for that. That's helpful. Kaylee is here. Fogo Pogo. Beth Espacia Rising. Plucky Heroine's going to be watching the playback because they are having lunch with her sister. Nice. Jane the Secret Tarot is here. Garnet. And Beth asks, aren't we always in the gray area if we are realistic about living in the moment? I'm going to star that one because I think that will come up a little bit later. I did not plant Beth to ask that question. That statement. So,
Linda, blame it on Miles.
What?
Blame it on Miles.
Blame it on Miles. Oh, I am not blaming anything on Miles because, Linda de Gonzalez is here. Mosaic Insight. Imelda. Imelda, this is not part 2. If you're talking about what is our baseline, that part 2 is it's in 2 weeks, December 2nd. So, and so it's
Deb.
And Hypnicity. Oh, I'll have what she's having, Hershe. Do you know what that's from?
That was Harry Met Sally, right?
Yes, from When Harry Met Sally. Search it. It's cool. Hypnicity said, my word for 2024 is clarity. The clearer I've become, the more I realize neutral is an ingrained part of my Swiss heritage.
Sweet.
Nice. Sue Toffee is here. Pamela. Um, oh, yeah, that is key. I did my show on how to get comfortable in the uncomfortable. That's nice. So, and yes, Purple Elephant, Deb H is here. Hi, Deb. You've got about an hour before your meeting. And yeah, so Joan is here. Hello, Joan. And Linda. So, okay. So, and Pierrette is here. Hello. So, this has come up. This whole thing has come up in our ongoing conversations that the three of us have been having. And they're laugh and learns. I'm blessed to be able to have that, to be able to host that. But let's start with the question: what is the gray area? And who wants to start? I'm taking a sip, so Hershe starts first.
Mm.
Oh boy. So I don't know. I it's a place
Say
that
what
I've been my whole
say
life.
what you said backstage.
I don't remember what I said. It's a place outside of black and white. It's a place that is unprogrammed, and I think there is way entirely too much space here. And I believe that we need to take advantage of being comfortable with something that we cannot control.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't remember
So
exactly what I said, but something like that.
no, that yes, and of course Kaylee is doing the thing that I was also doing. Is it gray with an AY or gray with an EY? You know, that's the sort of thing. Um, and Hershe, the kid that likes to sit in the back of the class and gets picked by the teacher anyway.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Hi, Russ, Bob's, Barbara. And Hypnicity said, well said. So for me, the gray area is that sense of confusion, that uncomfortable space between what I know or what I knew that's no longer there before I get to the place where I'm feeling more comfortable. So, and this is one of those things that, did I just put you both asleep with that answer? Okay.
No.
Because I did a lot of transition training in my previous job. And because when things change, whether they be great changes or awful changes or whatever, there's still this idea of is like the transition period, that which was is not there. It's the Six of Swords. It's crossing the boat before you get to the other shore and being able to put your feet down on that. So, and so for me, the gray area is that place where I am not as comfortable or confident, where I may not feel in control, or I don't understand what's going on, and where I'm not sure of the support that's around me, and I'm like going, what am I doing here? Why am I here? So, and yes, I do have notes, everybody. So, anyhow, so I'm just getting chat is there. So, Kaylee said, I like that Gerald describes my current state of being, and it's frustrating me. I'm an incredible black and white thinker. Okay. Yeah. The place before reaching inner standing. Ooh. So, okay. Betsy, what about you?
Thank you. For me, the gray area, to sum it up, is the space between question and answer. And to find an acceptance of that space. I may not enjoy that space, but to accept it as what is true right now.
That's really powerful. And I wrote that down backstage because I'm like going, ooh, and that's very eloquent. It's very nicely said. And I wanna actually go. The world isn't black and white. We may want it to be. We may see it that way because it makes us feel comfortable. It limits our options. And so I think that gray area is, and I teach color confidence, and I do talk about gray because gray is extremely effective to draw our attention to something.
Oh.
So in art, if you want to get someone's attention, put some gray about the same value next to that paint or next to that color, and it's going to get your attention. It's going to vibrate. So.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah. Jane said, powerful, Betsy. And Linda said, for me, it's a place of discovery.
That's empowering.
It is very empowering. It's also empowering if we frame it that way. Okay, I'm in this gray area. What can I discover? So
I kind of go that way too. I like to think of it as a place of piqued curiosity. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but I'm curious to find out.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Hypnicity asked, between ignorance and knowledge?
I don't know. I think some of my questions are pretty good.
Yeah. Gray is where true shadow work resides.
I don't know if I agree with that one, but I guess we all are entitled to see it that way. But shadow work is something that physically happened. It's a tangible event that molded a part of your life, and it is still affecting your adult life from something that was physically, mentally, or emotionally actually happening to you at an age that you can't control your own thoughts because you have other people's forced seeds in your head and you haven't grown into your own thought yet. So I would say that gray would be the place you would go to heal from the black and white that tried to program and force you to be something.
That's interesting.
Or not.
That is interesting.
I like that. Gray is where you go to heal from the black and white. Yes, and the limitations that black and white puts on us.
100%.
Good, Hershe.
Dang. And I just have to say, that's fan thwarp worthy. So, Beth said, but isn't the entire notion of the gray area predicated in the nation on the notion that we have control? And isn't control just a human illusion?
Yes, but there is no control in gray. Gray is chaos. And it's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be chaotic. You need to understand that the gray is there for protection outside of the forced way of some trying to make other people live in their value instead of taking the time to explore the gray and find their own value.
Well, and the only thing that we can control is our response to what happens.
There you go.
So,
I think there are some people that are so uncomfortable with the gray area, they won't even allow that into their space. So they act and react very spontaneously, even impulsively, because the gray area is so uncomfortable. They just cannot be there. So, and sometimes we all know that spontaneous decision making can be a little sketchy. So sometimes the outcomes aren't that great, but I think some people would rather have a bad outcome just to have an immediate outcome instead of waiting.
Yeah. And Beth follows up with, right, and that's where we live, in the gray area. I'm saying I think black and white, aka control, is an illusion.
I think our decisions, I think our choices of our actions can control an outcome to a certain extent. It can control the result. It can factor into an outcome by our choices. You know, I think if we refuse to make a choice and let other people choose, it's still a choice. And then you must accept the outcome. I think people that really have no idea what they want for themselves and refuse to even say, what restaurant do you want, or what do you want for dinner, and refuse to tell you that, is they're so worried about failing in their choices that if they fail, they won't be happy. So they put the choice on somebody else's shoulder. That way, if the outcome they're not happy, it's not their fault. And this is all kind of like tumbling on top of each other really quickly in my head. Yeah. And I think sitting and waiting, giving yourself the pause to make a choice for an outcome that you truly do desire, I think that's where the gray area can be powerful and the acceptance can come into play. So we can't control the world, but our decisions and our choices can result in an outcome. That's what I'm saying.
Beth said, we can have a plan. It's important to have a direction, but many variables can come in and play to switch your direction.
Absolutely.
Yes. And that's an important aspect of how to move forward. What's your plan? Where are you heading? So, and yes, Betsy, important to try not to get attached to the outcome. Yeah. Hershe, what are you thinking?
I don't know if there is a long version or a short version. I've never done good in black and white. Never. I'm the one in the room that is usually the boldest, the brightest. Because I don't want to wear the monkey suit. I don't want to look like everybody else in that black and white penguin suit, walking around waddling, being programmed to follow the lead. I'm not necessarily saying that I'm a leader, but what I'm absolutely not is a follower. And I can literally see a group of people running, and I'm the one that's going to step back and see what the hell they're running from. I'm not going to join in the running, you know. That may cause me to be the one that's going against a force that I have no control or even chance of going up against as an equal partner. But I would rather be the one going up against that mountain than always having that mountain behind me, pushing me in a direction I don't want to go.
That's well said. The world's best chatters are really bringing it into the chat, so I'm trying to keep up with everything. And we have Mosaic Insight said, we can only control how we react to the world around us. Yes. And Deanne, Blue Crescent Tarot, is here. Oh, yeah, this happens to me. Expectations of outcome can get me if I'm not careful. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Clearly communicating your needs is really helpful in that one.
Yes.
I finally started to do that in my 60s.
Suit. Okay, so hang on. Again, this is beautiful. I want to get caught up. Gray area is where I mix black and white, because I actually think that if only we see things in black and white, if ones and zeros, there's huge gaps in the experiences of being alive. So okay, so Sue Toffee shared some gray areas are nice. Okay, interesting. When you have to choose a party dress, what you want want to paint, decide on a menu. Some gray areas scary. I must leave rental where I live. Ill will I heal. And I agree. Gray area between question and answer. How I decide to react in gray area. Decision to hate, be negative, to react. To high vibe, love, remain. Neutral gray area for me is before the decision and knowing. Sort of goes back to what you were saying. But I do have to say, something that's important is some situations of not knowing, of that space between the question and the answer, are less discombobulating, and they're less stress making. And then in some situations, the space of not knowing is very, very stressful. And by the way, only you know what that is, and it might surprise you to where you might think, oh, that'll be really easy, I'll be fine with it, and it causes you a great deal of stress. You don't have to understand it. You just have to know that that's what it is, and meet yourself where you are. Hershe, what do you think? Go ahead, Betsy.
Classic gray area is waiting for a diagnosis. Classic.
Yes.
That one, boy, oh boy. Whee, right?
Yeah.
It can be, that one can be fear, have a lot of fear, have a lot of confusion, have a lot of anxiety involved in stuff like that. So yeah, there's some gray areas that are lovely, and there's some gray areas that really blow.
Yeah. Hershe, what are you thinking?
Well, I don't know. Like I'm not actually thinking anything at all. I've never been the one that was anything but comfortable in the gray area. That it's where I flourish at. I I don't have to know what's coming. I've never been the type to want to know what the outcome is. I would rather sit in anticipation and wonderment and wait for the blessing than to
who did that?
assume
Yeah.
I had died.
Hi, Miles.
Apparently. Um every time I get thrown into the program world, the black and white of it, there's never no color there. Those are all shades. They are not primary. They are not pastel. They're not muted, but yet they don't classify as a color. So hypothetically, if you are the one that believes that we came from the Big Bang Theory, then you have to believe in dark matter. You can't believe in dark matter and not believe that the best place for you is the gray. There's solitude and safety, knowing that you are exactly in the moment. You're not 5 minutes ahead and you're not 5 minutes in the past. You are exactly in the moment. You are very present. So to go to a piece of paper with a black pencil on a white piece of paper and formulate the factor of allowing the black and white, the black lead and the white paper to stimulate you means that you are unstimulated by the actual creation of dark matter that is a part of our evolution, and it forces us to stay present. And if you're waiting for something, if you're constantly waiting for something, I feel like you are jumping in and out of different areas because you don't know how to get comfortable with yourself.
So here's something that is very interesting. There are three of us on screen. All three of us have a different approach to the gray area. Hershe is one who you sit in anticipation and excitement about what's coming.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a whole lot of power in that. Betsy, I'm probably going to do an awful summary of what you're thinking is, but it's that idea of it's the space between the question and the answer, and being there is fine because you know the answer will show up, and you have developed your relationship with you and your environment in the world to know, it's going to show up and you're going to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I, on the other hand, I don't like gray area that I don't control or I didn't create. And so for me, that's the thing is if it's out of my control and I don't feel I have any influence in it, it wigs me out. And I point that out because all three of us are healthy, sane individuals. Our perspectives are very valuable and they're important. You may have a view that's slightly different than ours, and it works. That's what's going on in the gray area. And by the way, we need all of these perspectives. If we don't have these perspectives, I'll get on my soapbox, is when we disengage with other people who have different perspectives, we miss out on understanding the experience. We miss out on those beautiful nuances that happen. I have to, okay, I'm going to pause for a second there.
Let's do it. Sip, sip. This conversation it's got quite the energy load with it, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It really does. It's
Yeah.
And I think it does reflect on how uncomfortable the unknowing space can be sometimes. If we're waiting to hear the results of a question, we want to know the answer. That's all there is to it, or we wouldn't pose the question. Or if there's a deadline looming, that it can be a very, very uncomfortable space. And I think it brings up a lot of emotion just because partly it's just we're trying to keep ourselves safe. We're trying to cope. We're trying to be comfortable. Something that I found myself saying a whole lot this year was, I don't know the answers yet. I can't see it just yet, but I'll be really curious to find out who I will be on the other side of this.
Yeah. There's a lot of power in that. And, Beth said, I'm not sure I ever purposefully created a gray area. My mind is usually working overtime to find a solution. I need to calm down the ego. I know not of what you speak. I have no ego. I'm waiting for the lightning to strike.
Somebody said something to me last week when I was talking about, yeah, but I'm sure it's all just my ego talking. And this person said to me, sometimes the ego is right.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes. Nalani said, people who see only black and white miss out on a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Kaylee asks, Gerald, I wonder if human design plays a part. You and I have a similar view, and we are both projectors. I think whatever it is that you have to understand yourself That's in your toolbox, and that's a powerful tool. I think yes, that's something. Well, and it's part of it's understanding. Hershe, you know, you exist in chaos,
I do.
and that's your normal. And look how comfortable she is. You know.
I mean, I was born in it. I mean, I'm a veiled child. I have a very unique, specific set of gifts that was granted to me at a very later stage in my life. But I had to
Yeah.
screw up 429,312 different ways to earn that. And they wouldn't have put me in all of them millions of disaster zones if I wasn't built for it. But I didn't know that until a point in my life in 2011 showed me how much I actually could tolerate before I literally forced myself to be in a situation that kept me present and not worried about what is coming in 5 minutes. The best part of the blessing is knowing that I went through hell first. And I know that sounds asinine and backwards, but had I not went through that hell, I wouldn't have deservingly been so grateful to receive the blessing. I may have overlooked the blessing or saw it very small or very minuscule instead of the giant or milestone that it was for me because I earned it in the gray and not worrying about the program mind of the black and white.
Yeah. You're getting a lot of support, Hershe. And I support you in that because it does go back to that one of the conversations that we had. It was the three of us and Hexa and talking about where we are in our path. And, you know, I have to say, you know, for a long time, this isn't about me, but I'm going to share this. I don't like not having control or some ability to feel control. Or, okay, control is the wrong word. I don't like not experiencing balance and my baseline. Who am I in this moment? Because if I know who I am in that moment, I'm okay. And by the way, Hershe, just so that you know, I am probably the same person who is, if everybody's running, I'm going to stop and look what we're running from because I'm like going, well, maybe it just needs a hug. So, but
Maybe.
yeah, not feeling empowered. Bobby is here and said, I was forged in flame and shadow. And
Absolutely.
so, yeah, the ego has a purpose. We just
I
give
mean,
it too
it
much
has
power.
to. It has to. If you want to put a color wheel up, then you would understand that red would be your pride. Green might be your greed, right? But there are healthy amounts of these emotions that we are entitled to. And there's the entitlement. It's how
Yes.
you use it. It's not what you're using, it's how you're using it. It's not what you're saying, it's how you say it. It's all in the delivery of it.
Yep.
So if you cannot walk a mile in their shoe, you can't begin to understand what they had to do to pull themselves out of
Yes.
some pretty dark, black places that were not very friendly, that were not very comfortable, and they were not very fun. And there's absolutely no control in something that is preordained and made. It's already made to be out of control. So why would you want to try to control something that cannot be controlled when you yourself are the only thing you can actually control is yourself, and keeping your mind focused and staying present so that you don't get blindsided to something that you thought you didn't need to be prepared for because you can't know what's coming
Yes.
or something like that. I don't know.
What Hershe said. Great chat going on. Ego protects us. Yes. It's our responsibility to keep it in a healthy place. Fear protects us. All of these things protect us. We have to keep them in the perspective. And
Let's see, here's a comfort zone, and that is one place I don't want. I don't want to be comfortable. I want to be uncomfortable. I want to know that I am deserving of the blessing that I am working for right now, even
sure.
though I don't know that I'm working towards a blessing. I know there's a blessing that is ahead of me, and I know the only way to get there is to move forward. I can only go up so high, and you can only go down so far. There's literally limits to how high you can go or how low you can go, but there's absolutely no limit to how far forward you can progress yourself and stay in the present.
Yes. And Sarah, hello. I resonate with this. Grew up suppressing rage because girls should not feel that or act like that. Yeah. So, and, and Kaylee says, I like that, Hershe. Thank you for that. There has been a whole bunch of stuff in chat. I'm gonna press pause for a second, and I'm going to say, Betsy, how are you? What are you thinking?
I think this is a really big conversation. I'm a bit surprised at how broad the conversation got so quickly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I appreciate everybody watching this and the two of you for joining me and for those willing to engage in it, because you know, everybody has a mixture of the three of us, and some like control, some don't, some, you know, and it's part of understanding how we are in the world. And I get that it's so important for us to understand everyone's experience with the gray area or the neutral or not knowing is their own experience, and it's equally valid as yours. Do not discount it, because if somebody is discounting yours, please let me know, because, you know, I might light a candle, burn a bay leaf, and say, mind your own damn business, people. This is, you know, yes, Hershe, exactly. Mind your own damn business, people. So, okay. Sorry, I got all wordsy. There were a couple of beautiful things in the chat, and so we can only control how we react. And Deanne shared, in 2022, I had a 7.5-month stretch of gray area that was terrifying. I could do nothing but accept it. I said, there will be a beginning, a middle, and an end. I just need to walk through it. And yes, and I think it's so important for us to remember that there is a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then there will be another beginning, another middle, and an end. But this is really powerful because it's I'm staying in the moment by keeping that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for sharing that, Deanne. And yeah, Garnet said there are more questions than answers, and the more I find out, the less I know. Yeah, that song. Yeah, it's yeah. Hershe, are you getting something?
No, not necessarily. I guess I've never put that much thought into it. It almost seems like it's overthinking it. But again, this is just my opinion. There is absolutely no way to control. So how do you know there's a beginning, a middle, and an end? Because someone that lives in the black and white told you that, and that was their experience. So it has to be the only way, right? Wrong answer. The fact that I can't get comfortable in black and white makes me no different than it is for somebody that can't get comfortable in chaos. Even though it's their own chaos, they just don't want to accept it. They want to shun a part of them to make another part look brighter or lighter.
Yeah.
And I cannot, and nor will I ever understand that unlogical thinking. That's not even logical thinking. If you deny your left arm and you only use your right arm, you are losing an appendage that you desperately need. You can't pretend
Mhm.
it's not there just because you don't like the way that it jiggles, or you don't think it's got enough shape, or whatever the situation. It could be widowed. That doesn't make it not valid. That doesn't make it not needed. So
Yeah.
I think to criticize yourself in the gray makes it harder, because gray is only gray until you add your flavor, your color to it. And then it's not gray anymore. It's always going to be black and it's always going to be white, but gray doesn't have to stay gray. Gray can be any color you choose to make yourself feel and see. You don't have to be in a place where you can only go so dark or so light. You can literally go
And
anywhere.
that's not a concept that everyone has experienced.
I understand that.
And so, and yes, and I know you understand that. I'm saying that out loud because there are some people who they've not had that experience, and that's okay. And Beth said, Hershe, we can decide if something has ended. That doesn't mean we know what will happen to us next, but we can place the end on a situation. And I actually love that because it's the we can end the stories that we have told ourselves, and we say that's over. That book is closed. I am starting a new journal. I am starting a new path. That's in the past. Talk about bringing some power back to yourself.
Well, I mean, I think if we put an ending or a beginning on us, we are cutting ourselves short. We are a continued journey. Our soul is a continued journey. This fourth dimension experience that we are experiencing right now in this place we call Earth. This is just a chapter in a book that has no ending. It is a never ending story. I mean, it can't end. If it ends, then we end. Our version of us ends, and there is
Yeah.
no ending to us. There is no actual beginning. We are continued chapters in a never-ending story, and I'll never see myself as anything other than the never-ending story, because I can always reinvent myself, but I cannot rewrite myself.
Okay. Um,
Gerald, I think that brings up your next talking point. That
um,
seems like a
why
really
might it be helpful to be comfortable in the gray area?
yeah.
And I, amazing chat. So I'm looking forward to being able to watch the playback with the chat. Control freak here. I hate that I cry when I'm angry because I can't deal with how anger makes me feel. Not used to processing it. But there
Sounds like
is,
that's your starting point.
yes, there is a great deal of power in knowing that you cry when you're angry. That indicates, okay, I am releasing emotion, and there's a whole lot of power. And Maureen said, from an early age, I was told that I was too sensitive. So for a long time, I hid that part of myself. I fucking hate it when people say people are too sensitive. Fucking hate it.
Absolutely.
And come for me, YouTube. I don't care.
Yeah.
Because you're not too sensitive. You are beautifully gifted, right, Betsy?
Exactly.
You are gifted.
And by the way, if Maureen, I don't know if you watched yesterday's chat, but we kind of it's in there.
Yeah.
In there.
And then Maureen said, it took me a long time to accept that about myself, and my husband helped me with that. I can't help feeling others hurt and grief. It's part of me. That's beautiful, and I'm glad you found that. That's great.
Empathy
And
is a superpower.
Yeah, it's your superpower. Nalani reminds us, what do you do before enlightenment? Chop wood, carry water. What do you do after enlightenment? Chop wood, carry water. Yeah, I mean, so, okay. And, okay, so, okay. Wow. Okay. I'm just talking about one traumatic situation in my life. I've had a lot, not my whole life ending. No, we understand that because Deanne did say she knew there was an end to what was going on.
Yeah.
And Hershe, Beth says, Hershe, you obviously haven't met my 2 ex-husbands. The end.
Oh, honey, I got 3 ex-husbands. The end. But those are just chapters.
There
They're
you go.
just chapters. They were a part of my life, and I can't pretend that they are not still a part of my never-ending story. So
Yeah.
I can't completely write them out, not if I'm going to be honest about telling my flaws and my successes.
It's part of your color palette, your life palette. Maru is here. I don't know if I said Maru. Inspiration Psychology with Jen is here. Hello, Jen. And I needed to hear all of these messages today. Good. I'm glad, Kaylee. Mosaic I was always told I'm too sensitive. I cry easily, but I've realized that the tears just releases the emotional tension and high blood pressure, passion, but I've hardened my heart. Girl. That's, yeah, okay. Or I've disconnected. Girl, that's a whole different thing. So, but I heart you. So, why is it helpful to be comfortable in the gray area?
Why not?
Okay.
Acceptance. Coming into a place of acceptance. And that can help diffuse the agony of unknowing, right? If you don't know what's going to happen and you keep reminding yourself, I don't know what's going to happen. I have concerns about what's going to happen. Will I be okay when what has happened reveals itself? Will everything work out? When we don't have the ability to dictate an outcome, noticing what is true for you right here, right now is a way to come back to the place of mindfulness and the place of being connected, the place of being back in your body and noticing while you can have concerns about an outcome that's not imminent, noticing the evidence of what is true in the moment, for me, I have found can be very helpful and stabilizing.
Yes, it goes back to that idea of as what is real, and what do I know to be actually true.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot of power in that. I'm mentioning meditation again. Y'all know Gerald probably could benefit from some form of meditation. Stay tuned. Maybe he'll do a show about different forms of meditation. Don't hold your breath. But what is it that slows me down enough to recognize me in exactly where I am without judgment, just with an observation? I want to take a selfie and go, I want to see the spots and all. And, so I think to be comfortable in the gray area, I went off on a little tangent. Hold on.
For me, historically, when I'm in the place in the gray area and I don't know what the outcome is, and I may not have influence on the future moment, what helps me is also to review the evidence of outcomes historically. And while I have had some funky experiences that I didn't enjoy, the outcome typically led to an up-leveling and an improvement in my life. And I could say that happened the majority of the time. And even if the outcome wasn't a long-lasting result, there were moments of brilliance within that as well. And the ultimately, I was not harmed. I was not harmed. So for me, I'm fortunate that I can fall back on that historical evidence, and I have found a lot of comfort in reviewing that instead of worrying about things that I don't have influence over that aren't here yet.
Yeah. I like that, Betsy. Very relevant to me right now. Thank you for that reminder. And Sarah said, realizing what I can and cannot control helps in the gray area.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be as simple as I remember a moment in my life with my therapist. She had said, what is it that you can control? I don't know. I can't control anything. And she said, you are holding a cup of coffee in your hand. You control that. You can either take a sip with it, you can hold it in your hand, you can put it down. You know, so she what she did for me, and it's helpful for me in that gray area. I have to get back into my body because I'm up here, or I'm in my heart, or I'm in all of my emotions. And let me tell you, I have great emotions, a wide range of them, like many of us do. Are they always the most helpful? Sometimes. Sometimes they're not. So, Maru said, I keep trying to be grateful for everything. And I had a conversation with somebody, I think it was Jane the Seeker this morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's almost January. It's almost December, and I'm doing the Glimmer Globe again. Because that's a really key thing. So Beth said, I relate to what you were saying. Can the child within my heart rise above? Stevie Nicks. All of my references are old school. So, yeah. Hershe, why might it be helpful to be comfortable in the gray area if you're not like you, where you're comfortable with it? And you can say pass.
I don't want to say pass. What I want to say is I don't want no control. If I am controlling it, therefore I feel that I am taking away from the blessing that will come on the other side. And I know that sounds crazy, but you can't have blind faith in something without saying if it's meant to be, it will happen. I'm not going to get excited. I'm not going to get my emotions caught up in something and then all of a sudden that doesn't happen and I have broke my own heart. I have led my own mind astray because I allowed me to feel like I had some form of control over the universe, because ultimately the universe is they are the ones that are going to either put you in a place for a lesson, or they're absolutely going to make sure that you find the blessing. So you have to see them both equally, and you can't have control over which one you get and think that there won't be a consequence because you broke your own heart or you led your own mind astray by trying to think that you can put your thumb on the universe and say, oh, I'm the one that's controlling this. No, that is the biggest joke that I feel the universe laughs best at, because they literally prove us wrong every single time, whether it's a lesson or a blessing. So I say it all the time, and I will always say it. If it's meant for me to do something, the universe will make a way. Whether
Yes.
it's a dusty, dirty path or it's paved in gold, whatever way the universe wants me to have it is the only way I want to receive it. I don't want no control over it. I want to control my breath. I want to control my sleep. I want to control what I put in my mouth to eat. Those are things I have control over. Playing with this little, whatever you call it, stylus. I have control of that. It's in my fingers. I'm controlling it. And then let's see, the universe made sure I was not in control. So therefore, I want no control. Ultimately, I'm going to allow them to have total control. so that I know I'm not led the wrong way by myself.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I mean, that's a really powerful and clear explanation of how you are engaged with living.
Hmm?
I like it. Inspirations, or Henry said, something that can help. Ask, what is the worst case scenario? What are the chances of this happening? What would I do? How would I handle this worst case? And then you can continue on with all the scenarios that crossed your mind, no matter how unrealistic they might be. Hard to explain properly in writing. And part of that is I think what you're doing is because, yes. And by the way, you know, it's inspiration psychology with Jen. You know, if you are in, you know, I will have to say that's a really good thing, because sometimes when I actually listen to myself, or I have somebody who loves me listen to me and tell me what I have said, I can hear it and go, that is ridiculous. You know, I am like going, really? Okay. So, and Pamela said, I definitely in the same mindset, Hershe. It's a long life of realizing for me. I do put my dreams and visions out to the universe, and I am patient and realize if it's to be, I will walk there.
Absolutely, 100%. If it is meant to be, it will be.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know how to take it. Like they think it's like I'm saying something, like I feel like I'm lessening myself. I'm absolutely not. I'm just not setting myself up to break my own heart or let my mind play tricks on me, because your mind will literally lead you down the wrong damn path and tell you that you are going to have fun and there ain't going to be no consequence. And that is so far from the truth. So it's not having control is more controlling of yourself than people give themselves credit for. When they're not worried about putting their thumb on something. They don't want to dirty their thumb or leave their thumbprint or interfere or cause themselves to lose a blessing or make a blessing hit a detour, because I apparently wasn't ready for it. I thought I was. I made my mind think I was, but in my
Mhm.
heart I wasn't. And in my roots are full of weeds, and you can't even comfortably be who I am because I can't get comfortable with me. And there's just so much easier way of living when you're not worried about trying to control the outcome that's already destined for you to begin with.
Betsy, I'm going to come back to you, but I want to point out something Miss Charlotte said. You know, back to the what, you know, why might well, how did I say it? Why might it be helpful to be comfortable in the gray area? Because who wants to be uncomfortable? And you know, Hershe does. Um, um, but you know, as I have grown, and as I do artwork and as I practice things that aren't comfortable, they're not natural yet, there's some excitement. There's a joy in showing up and doing the work that really is invigorating. It's the eight of pentacles. You got to show up. You got to keep doing all of the same stuff over and over again until that new until your hands can do that what you need without needing to think about it, and then it becomes inspired and you can lean into it. So and so so there we go. And yeah, but there is no wrong path. Pamela said, I've listened a lot to Robert Sapolsky and read his book Determined. This is why I want to discuss free will versus destiny so much.
I think those two things are hand in hand. I don't think it's versus at all. And that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah. I'm writing that down. So Okay, we are, believe it or not, we are at an hour.
Holy
It's like,
shit.
yeah, I know. I'm
That
like,
was
going,
like quick.
yeah, it's like holy mackerel. So, um, so any other thoughts about why might it be helpful to be comfortable in the gray area? I'm going to say one thing is that if you don't find balance in that storm, physically, emotionally, mentally, your body is going to wear down. And again, for entertainment purposes only. If there's so much chaos going on and you're not finding who you are and centering, for lack of a better word, grounding, shielding, start doing those things that remind you, okay, this is who I am. I think physically it shows up. It just shows up. So, but I don't know. Any thoughts on those words that just flowed out of my mouth?
A lot of thoughts. um, what my closing thoughts would be is that I had a teacher say once that faced in a situation, it could be gray area, it could be discomfort, it could be a situation of unliking, that there's an option to be curious and not furious. And I found that statement to be so empowering, because being furious to me is a state of having no influence whatsoever in what's around me. And being curious shifted me to a place of allowing space for other things to come.
Hmm.
And so for me, the gray area is a space to really hang on to the curiosity. Because I may think I know what's going to happen, but the truth is I don't know what all the different possibilities, all the different outcomes, and the way. Yeah, curious, not furious. She said, never give up on anybody. People surprise us all the time. That was in the context of working with folks in rehab mostly, and different kinds of situations. But yeah, people surprise us every day. So while in my head, based on the past, I may think I know what's coming, the truth is that I don't really know for sure. And it reminds me of Byron Katie's The Work, her little page. You can get that for free on the internet, Byron Katie. It's a little sheet where you have a thought that's uncomfortable and you fill out the sheet on it, and it shifts you from saying, I know the situation and I know exactly what's going to happen and blah, 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 to a space of, I could choose to see it differently. And that to me is such an empowering place with the gray area. I could choose to accept what's before me. I could choose to remove the limitations on my perception of what's possible and outcome.
Really powerful. Yeah. Hershe, any last minute thoughts or summary?
No, not really. I would welcome everybody to try for 24 hours to just stay present. It sounds so easy. I promise you, it's much easier than you think it is, but it does take practice. And I would challenge people to stay present. It is humbling to just stay present and not worry about what dinner is. I mean, of course, you know, you want to plan something because you're craving something, or you have a programmed life, and every 17th day you eat chicken and noodles and cornbread because that's how your circle revolves. But for 24 hours, just stay absolutely present and don't stay 5 minutes ahead, and don't worry about what happened 5 minutes ago, because it's done. It's over with. You're not going to get it back if you plan to move forward. Or you could stay in, a place that, it wasn't meant to be comfortable, and find a way to get comfortable with it.
Yeah. Pamela shared, that's why I love the bell gongs every 15 minutes to give that reminder to stay present. Yeah.
That can
Yeah,
be really helpful when you're in a twirl. Yeah.
absolutely. Like, the question I got asked the most prior to the cruise, and this really probably has nothing to do with it, but it was, what do I expect? And the only answer I have is I have no expectations. And because I had no expectations, I can tell you that every day got better and better and better, and more memorable, because I had no expectations. And now I can't think of any way better than to know that there is a milestone in my life that I was not guaranteed. I was not promised. And because I didn't allow myself to think negatively, I allowed positivity to stay and keep me present. Got to do things that were unimaginable that are now achievable for me. And now I can have expectations for the next one because I didn't have any to begin with.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So something that I was thinking about is my friend met with some friends on Sunday just to touch base because it's been a while. And we were chatting about gray area per se and the chaos. And he said, what is my intention and where is my attention? So what is my intention and where is my attention? And I'm like going, oh, when the two of those things don't line up, I'm deleting, I'm dissipating my power and my abilities to be present. So yeah, no expectations, no disappointments.
No.
Yep. Yeah. Expectations can lead to great things, but also disappointments. Two-sided. Yep.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Jonathan is here. Hi, Jonathan.
We're overdue for our bow bonds, Jonathan. Won't happen this week or next week, but we got to put that in the roll call before Christmas, dude.
I think that no intentions is freedom.
Ooh.
I gotta have a little bit of direction and
One of them
what
power words people forget about.
What was that, Hershe?
I said, and there are your power words that people forget about.
Intentions and freedom.
Freedom. When you're present, when you're in the moment, you're free. You're absolutely free. But people don't want to see that because they want to have control on what is to happen. And they're not free. They're not free in their mind. They're not free in their heart. They're not free. They are living a unfree world, the mind frame.
So thank you everybody for watching. If you've watched the playback, leave a comment. Let us know what you thought, your thoughts on these questions. And this isn't, I don't think this is a one and done thing. It's an ongoing conversation, especially in these times. Now, the next time Betsy, Hershe, and I are getting together is December 17th. So mark your calendars, set an alarm. And all right. I think I want to say thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Betsy and Hershe, for sharing your time and your energy and your authentic perspective. Links are below to how you can reach out to all of us and show your support. So I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And thank you all for being here. And Jen said, what a fantastic discussion. Looking forward to watching back all I missed at the start. So, yeah. So, thank you all. Everybody take care. Bye.
Bye.